Welcome, everyone. Lea Brovedani, the Soul Journey Doula, is back on the show to talk about how to honor someone's life. What are we going to do to honor their legacy once they have passed on? And I think this is such a great conversation. As we travel the country, Nancy and I, in our Love Your Park store, we see fountains, street names, benches, trees with plaques that mean something about someone. And then next we're like, well, I wonder who this person was that the town thought they should be, named their fountain after them, or this bench in this park. And so you do end up Googling who these people are, and you're going, wow, this person did a bunch for school kids or did this. And you're like, oh, wow, what a good example. So their life is still being, it's like carrying a torch through
Yeah,
actually for someone. So I love this conversation. Lea, how are you?
I'm not bad. How are you?
Doing good, traveling around, getting ready to be in Texas for the rest of the year, and then hopefully see you next year in early in the late winter, early spring. That would be cool. We have to have our annual meetup. I think we skipped a
Absolutely.
year. We skipped a year, but we still connected, right? but hopefully hoping to do that. But the legacy part of this, I think, is interesting because when someone is knows that they're passing, do they think about that, or do you ask them about that, or do you create the legacy according to what you know about that person, what will mean something to them, the people that they were surrounded by in their lives, and obviously budget? Or does the person when they pass go, here's like, 5 million, go buy this land and build a church for me or something,
And I think all of that is true. There are some people who, as they're dying, especially if there is a lot of funds, they can say, okay, I'm going to leave this portion as part of my legacy work. So they can leave a scholarship, and that might be something that they do. And I know of people who have done that. And then a lot of times, if people, it depends how they die too.
Mm.
If it's a sudden death, they might not have had a chance to put all of that together. And depending on how they died and what they died of, they might be too busy with the act of dying to think of what they're going to do for
Wow, yeah.
legacy. So it might be something that the family or the loved ones want to do in order to honor the person who has passed. So I love some of the things that you suggested, the fountain and the bench and the tree and everything. So the first thing that I think people should ask themselves is, what was this person, what inspired them? What was important to them?
Mm.
If there's someone who is a nature person, like you and Nancy, I would say a perfect thing would be to clear a trail and have it called, the Lisa Smith, Nancy Reed Trail, going into a beautiful part of the forest. I don't know if that resonates with you, but when I think of you and
Yeah.
Nancy, that's kind of what I think of.
And we need a picnic bench for our wine time
Okay,
in the
so
in the
like we can
nature.
have the picnic bench there with your plaque on it.
There we go. Yeah, it could be the Nancy and Lisa Trail, highway
Yeah.
or whatever. Walkway. Walkway is good.
And
Yeah,
then little cup holders for the wine so it doesn't
yeah,
spill.
yeah, exactly. There should be
Yeah.
an ice bucket. No, anyway. All right, now we're gonna go a little tent for a little nap afterwards. That's all good. But no, but this is the thing, is knowing people and doing something affordable. Sometimes it's like the community coming together. If it's
Yeah.
some major leader or someone who did something really excellent, statues,
Yeah.
actually talking about this, there's what's called the Legacy Cafe in Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Oh, I
And
didn't.
it is this wonderful, and I've been wanting to do a story on this for years. So I've talked about it on podcasts when we do our shows on Natchitoches. So Natchitoches is the oldest city in the state of Louisiana. The very first French settlement, and so much history and really good food. Well, in the African American neighborhood, at that time, it was the richest man. He was well to do, but he worked his butt off. Anybody needed help, they went to him, and he would help with car loans. He helped kids go through school, those kinds of things. But he started the Legacy Cafe because he wanted the youth to be able to learn some basic skills that they could survive on after school and get through school financially. So the cafe is student run. They serve you, they cook, they do everything, but they also started a grocery store so that in the neighborhood, if they couldn't, have transportation or something, they had goods right there. And they also started a community garden, which goes into the food and is also sold and given away for their community. And that is his legacy. So
Wow.
these kids are getting on site training. And at the same time, he's helping to feed the neighborhood for those who are in need and need it, which I think is pretty cool. There's a
Yeah.
lot more to his legacy. Oh, and they have a big sculpture of him outside.
Huh.
And also like it's kind of like a little complex, like a community center next door to it, where if parents need kids to be there while they're at work and stuff like that, that they have that set up.
Huh.
So like everybody built upon his giving to continue his life's work.
And you'll see that, like almost everywhere you go, and you
Uh-huh.
mentioned it, you'll come across something like a bench with
Mm-hmm.
the little plaque on it. But it doesn't even have to be that big. It could be just getting a plaque made. And then if you know a person has a favorite area, being able to get permission to put that plaque
Mm-hmm.
on a tree. It can be something as simple as that. This was the favorite spot for them to contemplate. um, everything from writing poetry, writing a song, getting them mentioned. I know somebody who had loved cats, and so they had a scholarship done for a vet, like for a university, the vet program, and every year scholarship is given to someone going through vet school. So there's so many things that you can do. If you can get to know the person
Mm.
before they die. I mean, we're talking about once they've passed and having the legacy, but I think you really need to know what's important for the person. Um, I can't imagine doing something like purchasing something and then you find out the person absolutely hated that aspect.
Yeah.
You know,
Like if someone purchased like a sea a boat for shrimp crawling or whatever, getting shrimp or
Nancy.
something for Nancy and I who are allergic to seafood, that would not be cool. Don't name us after a shrimping boat, but we would like to be in Forrest Gump the movie, but
Yeah.
you know.
So a legacy is just a way to honor
Mm,
people at the end of the year. It could be as simple as having a party,
mm,
and having a party where everybody has an opportunity to say something about the person who's passed, especially if
mm,
it happened this year. You'll
mm,
notice things like the Oscars. They always have a legacy component. And
mm,
so at the Oscars, they always show the people who have passed and their contribution.
mm. Yeah, same as the Grammys, and the
Yeah.
musical thing. And speaking of that too, with musicians, when a musician is passed and the musicians are touring, immediately go and perform one of the musicians' songs as part of their set. And it blows my mind how many people can actually play Purple Rain from Prince. But, David Bowie, as we watch, there's so many amazing musicians, Tom Petty, who's passed, and, Robbie Robertson. And okay, don't, like, that's all. We could just sit here all day long and talk about all the, Chris Christopherson died this year. I mean, come on,
Yeah, yeah, there was
you
some
know,
amazing
yeah.
people.
And you don't want to, you get all upset about it. And when they pass and then you listen to their music, you connect. And then people go back every time it's their anniversary of their birth or death and kind of do like stuff on social media. That's one way too, is have like a page, about maybe the mission. But you mentioned a party, and I think right now with the holiday season, it can be very tender for someone who has just lost someone. Maybe if it's a family gathering and a family member is lost. I love your thing of everyone go around and honor that person. Sometimes just even leave the chair vacant. at the
Yeah.
table. Oh, they did that in the Traveling Wilburys for Roy Orbison. They left his
Yeah.
chair
I
rocking,
was
and
that. You could
yeah,
see it had a guitar on the empty
yeah,
chair.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Roy Orbison. Sorry, I get a little
Yeah.
nutty,
Yeah.
but yeah, you could leave space for them. It's
And for anyone who doesn't listen regularly, I wonder how many people know how deep your music background is. And Lisa used to play in a band and
it's,
it's musical.
yeah. Well, we're all a little bit musical on this side, but and artistic, so it's a little crazy. But it's when you look at the music aspect, I think that's something you can do too, is play a mixed. Well, I'm sorry, we don't do mixtapes anymore. A Spotify playlist of their
Yeah.
favorite songs. If you're
Yeah.
going to have a party, right? Bring that in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's go
be
ahead.
able to do all of those. So I think if you recognize, like, I hate to be this practical because legacy is all about the heart, but what can you afford to do?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
then there is something for everybody's price range, which sounds kind of crass, but there is. There's
budget.
something you
Yeah,
can do. It doesn't matter if you have like $0 or a few $1 million to spend. You decide what is really important for, because
hmm,
now it's about you. You want to honor them by leaving something that shows their legacy.
exactly. And some people just they plant a tree in their backyard.
Yeah.
It could be something you grow from seed, even. If budget is an issue, there are things like that. You could learn how to finally bake the baked Alaska. Good luck on that. Maybe you could do that because that's Lee's background. Lee can bake.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
that would be something I could do,
hey,
but
Eva and I baked. Well, she did the real baking stuff. I did the chopping. A pineapple upside down cake, a fresh one
yum.
using pink pineapples.
I've never heard of pink
Yes,
pineapple.
Melissa's Produce. You'll find them in the grocery stores. Pink glow pineapple, or you get them imported in right now, and they don't have acid like other pineapples do. So they're yeah, they put lycopene in them, so they're a little pinky. There's also one called the Ruby Glow, and that's a $400 pineapple. Yep. But anyway, if you have a pineapple lover in your family, you could bake the cake, for them. So there's a family recipe that you've never quite mastered. Maybe that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So spending time with people who love them too.
Hmm.
And there's something really cathartic about being able to talk about a person who has passed and bringing up all the things, sometimes the things that I found really good as far as the legacy side was my dad, who had sometimes like really bad dad humor and could sometimes be a real ass. And
Mm,
being able to talk about it and then just laughing about it. And
because it is funny.
yeah, like saying something that he had said that was totally inappropriate and being able to have that
Oh,
cringe.
politically incorrect. Ooh,
Oh, definitely, yes, at times.
very, very good.
But being able to have like a legacy is really what is the person leaving behind that you want
Mm,
to remember, and how are
mm,
you going to help them be remembered? So all
mm,
of those things are, I think, really important. And it's important because we're talking right now. So I'd like to ask you,
mm,
what would make you feel good if you had, like, you've got your magazine, but what
mhm.
what would you like as a legacy piece?
I would like people to go out, find a piece of land, and get their community together, and everybody pays, split up the land in little cubes, like cake. Everybody pays $1 and saves a piece of land.
Ah, so it
That
can't.
way it can't be right. That's a thing that Nancy did many years ago. A conservation project out here. I think it was England. It was in England actually. And they saved this piece of land and for wildlife and everything and let it be natural and no one could take it away because all these people owned it.
Oh, I love that.
So that way land is saved. It doesn't cost everybody their entire bank account, and it's a community getting together to do something positive. But we
Wow.
do want the picnic table with the cup holders.
Yeah. So you
So
can
I
put,
want 10 squares.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So something like that to me would be the way to do something super cool. That would be epic to me. Yeah. What about you?
Um, there's a couple of things. I'd love to be able to, like, again, outdoors. I'd love
Cool.
to have a spot where people could sit on a bench and look out over the ocean. I'm moving back to Canada, as you know, and
Hmm.
there's beautiful parts of Nova Scotia. I'd love to find a place that is easily accessible because there's a lot of places where I hike and you really, it's not that easy to get to, but I'd love to find a spot that people could walk to and then sit and just, what I'd like to do is block any cell phone towers so that no one
Yeah,
could
yeah.
get on their phone, no one could get on electronics. They would have to sit and just listen and hear nature
And
and
be present.
present in the moment. Yeah.
You
To
can
me,
sit on Lee.
that, yeah, yeah, we could call the bench Lee, and so they would
Yeah.
sit on me. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, there's so much. There's just so much of, it is, I love that, having that little space. And again, then it'll have to be protected, which is good.
yeah.
I'll come sit on you. I'll find you and I will sit on
Okay,
you.
and so everybody knows that we're talking about the bench, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When our dog Athena died, I had a plaque made, and there was a spot that she used to love to sit and look out over our yard. This was in Philadelphia. And
Yeah.
I hope the family still have it, but we got the plaque and actually pounded it into the ground. And it was, um, all about this is where Athena loved to look out over and
Mm,
out over the garden and had her age. And so that was our little legacy piece for Athena. You don't have control over once you've left the planet on what's
mhm,
kept. So you might want to find out what the rules and regulations are, how long the bench lasts, where you can do it. There's now a lot of legacy gardens that are being built.
mm,
And so you
yes.
can actually find a legacy garden and have a plaque made. And it's like buying that little plot of land because you're actually contributing to the upkeep of a legacy
Mm,
garden where people can walk. I know that there is one in Nova Scotia.
that's nice.
There's legacy gardens all around the world, and you just have to find them and find out what the contribution is to having bought your little piece and
Mm.
having that place preserved.
I love that. A friend of ours, son passed away very young and, as a teen, and it was devastating to her. And I mean, obviously, right? And so everywhere she's moved, she's created a garden for him and puts up a sign that this is his garden and just hangs some decor that goes with him. He's also into music. And so even if they have to move, she picks up his garden and plants whatever goes, there and stuff and just has like a bench where she sits and just that's her space to commune with him.
If you want to reach your kids about a legacy, there's a beautiful story called The Lupine Lady. And she had pockets full of seeds of lupins. And as she walked, she would spread them. And so eventually, these paths that didn't have any flower or any life
Ooh,
or color, there was paths of lupins everywhere. Now I'm
wow.
almost like I want to find out where it was because one of the things that I always see in Nova Scotia are ditches filled with lupins. So I always used to wonder if the lupin lady was originally from Nova Scotia, but I'm sure there's places around the world. That's just one thing. You think of the legacy of Johnny Appleseed, who did this
Right.
thing, except he had pockets full or a bag of apple seeds that
Mm,
he spread and all across there's huge swaths of the United States that now have these legacy apples because of that one person. So you don't realize the impact you can have by some very simple acts.
Mm. I love that. That because you're growing. I think the planting part of all of this is good because it's, giving back to nature. It's being part of nature. It's spreading joy. It's making us all healthier. It's all kinds of good things. There is a park, as we document parks, we do a lot of memorials. There's military memorials. That's also about honoring legacies, right, across the country. Tons of them. And I didn't realize we were going to be doing those as parks too. Very important. Um, even a legacy of going to visit someone if they're, laid to rest in a specific cemetery or graveyard, doing that as an annual tradition or more.
Right.
Some go every week on a Friday and never miss this, or, there's always kinds of traditions. But it is interesting going to these memorials, but there's a lot of children's memorials and that we've been to, and they always involve sculptures that are whimsical and fun. And, they put names up, plaques. Like the one in Tucson is a memorial garden that was also to raise awareness of violence to children. So that's a very tough topic, but
Yeah.
it was to honor those children that were killed involuntary and not from disease, but from harm, and to raise awareness to not put kids in danger.
Yeah.
So they have all their names in this garden, and there's flowers and butterfly sculptures and just, kids having fun sculptures, you know, um, and it's right next to a playground too.
And that's another thing that you can do is that I've gone to playgrounds that never get any care or love, and
Mm,
gathering people to do a cleanup, whether it's a playground, a beach, or a
hmm
ditch, and do it in honor of someone. That's part of legacy work too. So annually, you have a cleanup of some kind or another. There is no cost except for the cost of maybe rubber gloves for people because you want to make sure they're protected, and garbage bags to pick up all the garbage, and doing a little speech at the beginning or at the end saying this is in honor of, and
hmm
so from my perspective, legacy work is something that is done with love and something that adds positively to the, like as a legacy thing, I'm not going to go and do something harmful. That kind of just
Yeah.
tracks anything that I think of as a legacy. But think of something that will be a positive impact
Mm,
for others who are still here.
mm.
And it's an
There's,
honor of
yeah,
pride.
there's people that did a lot of volunteer work and they pass. And then it's really cool if the family and friends get together and follow suit. And, if someone always went every Sunday and maybe went and fed the homeless. Because,
Yeah,
people, well, maybe you're going to stand in their shoes since they're not there anymore. Continue that for them,
yeah.
that work.
Probably really please them. Yeah.
Yeah. And please a lot of people, including yourself.
Yeah,
Legacies, honoring people's legacies make you feel better,
it
you
does.
know?
Absolutely. You might be giving it for somebody else, but when you do something good, it really comes back to the
Mm,
person who's doing the good deed. There is something really satisfying, and
mm,
it is a feel-good component about doing something selfless.
mm. Yeah, and some people also, I know with the sprinkling of ashes, which we've talked about, is also kind of part of that where, hey, they didn't get to go here, so I'm going to take them there. So there's legal permitting and stuff like that that needs to be looked at for all of that. But if they didn't do the cremation and the ashes, and that's not a possibility, we take Priscilla, our pink sock monkey, around the countryside because we hate our photos being taken. So you get to see Priscilla's everywhere, our sock monkey. So she gets to be in the photos. But you could take something from that person that was, something fun or just nostalgic. It could be a necklace, it could be a stuffed toy, who knows what it is, and take it and maybe plan a family reunion together, which would make that person probably happy,
Yeah.
and have a reunion day in their honor, and maybe in honor of multiple family members, and kind of think about them and maybe try their recipes or whatever. I don't know, but you could take, their item somewhere to wherever they wanted to go and create like a photo album of it. And now with social media, we can put a lot of positive stuff on social media if we want to. And it's a way for people to communicate about them,
Yeah.
stuff
I
like
know when
there's
my
just so
mom
much.
died, I my mother was a fabulous baker, and her favorite cookie were ginger snaps.
Oh,
And so when she passed, the day that I found out, I made a huge batch of ginger snap cookies, and then I put little tags on them that a cookie makes everyone feel better. And I put like 2 to 4 in a bag, and I took them around the neighborhood and just said, here's it. And, I think I might have put it was in honor of my mom, but that was a little legacy piece because
that's cute though. It's nice.
people loved the cookies, and I knew that my mom would have been pleased. And the other thing that I did is I made a cookbook, um, and had her recipes in it. And we had a get together with everybody. And this was before she died because we knew
Mhm.
that she was probably going to pass. And so I put the cookbook together. Everybody who came to the kind of birthday
Mhm.
party, which was just shortly before she died, got a cookbook. So that was the legacy piece that I did for her, because now every time
Oh,
someone makes something from that cookbook, I know that they'll think
it's
of my mom.
and it's lovely that you're able to do it while she was still alive, and that's not possible for everyone.
Yeah,
But if you can do the legacy project while they're alive, that is amazing. And I love, when you look at community planning in cities, like what they did in Tucson, to look at having legacy gardens, like you're saying, like if, city planners and towns look at that. We talked about the environmental concern of graveyards, cremations, and there's greener ways of doing things. And, I'm looking at legacy gardens being far healthier than, graveyards and things like that for the environment. And it
absolutely.
opens it up like a cemetery where you can go visit people and visit their, it's just an energy that you bring, right? And um when you go to a memorial, like the 9/11 memorial and things like that, and you see everyone's names, or it becomes very real. And it's, so I would say to have legacy gardens everywhere, and
Yeah,
water for birds and shelter. So the National Wildlife Federation has a program where you can get certified as a backyard habitat, so that we're providing the right food, shelter, water for birds and wildlife. And I think that would be a really positive thing, to be a legacy garden and a monarch way station too. Sorry, I'm just fulfilling my own legacy here. But anyway, but if you had a legacy garden that was for the entire community, I kind of feel like that would be a cool unity program for people, and environmentally friendly. And when you go there, maybe to see, the plaque of your grandmother, maybe you'll see the plaque of a friend from high school or something too. It's kind of, let's remember the memories of our town, to keep the legacy of your community, the integrity of your community. Because as we travel, we're seeing communities kind of, in some areas, lose their integrity, lose it to big box stores. And not knocking them, this is a whole other show. But if you keep the memories alive of the people from those communities, whether they live there for a year or 10 or their whole lives, it doesn't matter, temporary or not, putting them in this legacy garden is a way of remembering these people that all made some kind of contribution to the community, so that we don't forget, so that you honor it and keep the integrity and soul of the place. What do you think about that?
well, I love that. And that almost feels like a great way to finish up, because
Yeah,
I don't know if I could improve on that.
I think we need this as a project, Lee.
I do too.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. All right. What's your favorite plant? What is your native plant that you could say that you would grow in Nova Scotia?
There
Oh,
is
lupins are native.
lupins grow alongside the road. The native flower of, or the protected flower is the lady slipper, I think, and they're a protected
Ooh,
plant. So when you
ooh,
see
they're
them
beautiful.
growing
Don't
in,
touch them.
you're not allowed to, you're not supposed to step on them. I mean,
Mm,
stuff, but that would be beautiful. But Nova Scotia, yeah, I think lupins
makes
because they
sense.
grow and they're beautiful and they're multicolored and they grow everywhere.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you as always, Lee. Good having you on the show. Great topic at, closing off 2024. Looking forward to 2025. We have a great show coming up for January where we're going to look at the 30, 60, 90 days, is it? Or is it 30 days of building our own legacies,
Yeah,
being what we want to do. Is it 30 days that you do it?
actually best 3 months, so it's 90 days. Yep.
90, 30, 60, 90. Ooh,
Yeah,
this can change your life though.
it
I think
can.
it's exciting. It's exciting. Well, thank you so much, everyone. SoulJourneyDoula.com is the place to go.
Thank you.